Alright, we did good last time, but now it's time to prepare for the finals against the Baron.
Goody.
What?
Oh, there you go, remember, that's the answer, Jova. It's not Team America, but it's Team Muggshot.
So, yeah, maybe Sly Cooper's gang is the American team.
Well, it might be the same Muggshot, they represent themselves like Team Cooper. But anyway, here's Bentley's intelligent plan. Take out Muggshot, and only Sly will be able to focus against, the Black Baron. So that's pretty neat, actually. And to do that, we'll use Carmelita. Sly will be the bait.
Wow, Carmelita
will have to actually square against Muggshot, and since she will be so busy putting him in jail, she will not interfere for the rest of the episode. That's pretty
brilliant,
neat.
Isn't it?
It's still a problem because the Baron has basically the field advantage, so we will have to also trim a bit on that. Also, there's a giant wolf roaming around. Yeesh.
Imagine if it's a werewolf. Settle down, Cornell.
It's a normal type of wolf. Also, which Cornell, Joe?
The Cornell from the main timeline.
Okay, he's also the more heroic one. Okay.
Yes.
I'll hack into the aircraft control tower. If successful, I'll be able to intercept any messages the Baron might.
Well, I guess there is also Cornell's awesome-looking.
Right, Judgment.
Yeah, Judgment.
The Wii fighting game where the character design was done by the manga called Death Note because
it shows because they turned Simon into freaking Buff Light Yagami.
I really don't understand that. That's the thing. Some of the designs were still pretty neat, like Dracula himself, but some of them were just a bit too bizarre for me. But the idea of having a fighting game involving Castlevania characters, honestly, is pretty neat. Shame that Konami didn't went back on the idea, because there is potential. Anyway,
they also had a very neat idea too, but more on that later.
Alright, first thing first, let's take out Muggshot. Valsline will be the bait in attracting Carmelita to the place. Bentley will have to do his part and instead insult Muggshot in order to force him to go onto the square, the city square, in order to, make the two meet officially.
Can't fight about in the open for risk of getting disqualified. Thankfully, Inspector Fox is out in the field looking for us.
Look at that! This is one case where she actually has good timing for us, anyway. Just make sure there aren't any more evil masks lingering about.
Inspector Fox's safety.
Oh, don't worry about her. She's more than a match for a meathead like Muggshot.
That is pretty true.
Isn't that nice, Tio? Bentley still cares about Carmelita's safety.
It's kind of ironic, Jova, the fact that it also will be reflecting in using time. Carmelita actually has no real anger towards Bentley and Murray, when she should be because they're still a member of the gang. She's actually pretty much, friendly to when it comes to her talking with them. It's just when it's lies involved that she's pissed off.
So we've got.
I wonder, Tia, what if there's some secrets hidden beneath that anger towards Sly?
So we've got a character named Muggshot. What next is there going to be one named
Lives.
T?
Lives. It was present since the first game. It's a bit late to notice that.
3 games later, Dwibs noticed.
Well, I mean, guys, it's not like I'm the only one that only notices stuff very late on into a game.
Anyway, who's ready for an insult contest?
So we're gonna do it like Eddie Murphy versus Dave Chappelle. Your mom was so fat when she fell into the Grand Canyon, she got stuck. Or something like that.
Yeah. My favorite one out of that bit was your mom's so fat after sex I rolled off her twice and I'm still on the bitch.
Alright, let's see what our options are for this case. Maybe
Also, how nice of Muggshot. He actually doesn't want to fight, a paraplegic.
I guess he has standards too.
True, yeah, Sly did kind of
keep like this. Alright, let's try to solve something else. Maybe
bragging about your appearance.
Yeah, the appearance, why not? Oh, Reese.
Nothing to say nice and don't say nothing at all. Get it? What? Ain't got no sassy comments, smart guy?
He's a good listener.
Silent treatment.
You got nothing nice to say, so you're keeping quiet. That's real.
That's sad.
Really got nothing nice.
Oh, that
Damn! Damn!
I didn't mean it.
Do you even know what I'm saying to you? Or are you too stupid to understand the words coming in through your ear holes?
What? What's
But he didn't say anything.
Talk sense, why don't you?
Alright, let's try the...
Insult his mum.
My head is
Well, let's save that for last dweebs.
What, do you gargle with raw sewage every night before...
Well, dog breath literally is all that.
Find a nice tang to my breath. Helps maintain my personal space.
Alright, let's go for the killing.
Oh god.
There was a broken down tub of junk with more gentleman callers than the
Yes,
This game is rated what now?
free.
This isn't even like a young mama thing. It's like you just called her a whore.
It's like Wendy on Twitter.
When I talk about Shirai, the word whore was never uttered. Therefore, it's okay.
It's perfectly fine. It's convenient.
Yes, yes, as long as you don't say any naughty words,
Sure.
we know.
Sure. It's just like Rosetta Stone in Lost Future. I'm looking forward to our hours of private instruction.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Alright,
You
so-
know she's gonna enjoy them good.
Alright, first part is done. Second part is even more easy. We just need to have Carmelita chasing us until the plaza. It's pretty
Also,
standard.
guys, why are you using flashlights in the middle of daytime?
It's to symbolize for tunnel vision. And also still, to be fair, even in the second game, where were the levels in Canada, we were still using the flashlights, even though it was the middle
Well,
of the day.
okay. To be fair, in Canada, it was winter and snowy, so I can sort of get that.
Hello.
Oh, Sly. He literally tapped her on the rear.
I potentially could have done that.
Wow, Sly. I guess that's one way to start a date. Or a date where the woman is trying to so much
Shoot
as
you
maybe
to death.
kill you.
Although, to be fair, we mentioned since the first game that the shock pistol is not designed to kill, mostly to just, tranquilize. So I will give you that.
Which is funny because I'm pretty sure it has killed in some areas.
Alright, I will have to mention this, also by guard. For this section, the music actually glitched out, making a silent treatment. So when the fight starts, I had to replace it with something else. I decided to pick something themed after guns.
Wait. Why not face you like a real man? You ask because you constantly are shooting at him.
That little punk is gonna eat dirt. Hey! You're that cop hag that busted me back in Mesa City.
Muggshot, alias Two-Gun Tony.
Two-Gun
Also
Tony.
known as Meathead Muggshot. 7 foot 3 inches, 324 pounds, wanted in 7 countries with...
That's
I
very
didn't
nice.
ask you for a
Wikipedia.
Wikipedia recap.
I'm that cop hag that put you away back in Mesa.
And now I'm going to do it again.
Lady, feel like going for another shot at the title?
It's my duty to put you behind bars. That, and I enjoy making tough guys cry like the stupid
Ooh.
you really are.
And you wonder why Sly runs away from you.
Alright, the fight is pretty straightforward. Actually, compared to the first game, I agree it's even better, because you still have to avoid his actual shooting, but the well in the center of the plaza is just there for the job. Essentially, just get behind it, and you will miss most, and Muggshot will basically miss most of that.
Return of the jazz.
Actually, Dreams, I'm using the Rufus fight theme from the 7 remake. Like I mentioned, the music glitched out, so in order to not give this beat the silent treatment, I actually put something else in the background.
Yes, I recall you really liking that. Yeah, that's what he's talking about. How she looks like she's doing jazz hands after she has to reload the gun each time.
Okay.
But yeah, can you imagine if the music suddenly became this epic for this particular boss fight?
Hey, look at that! Look, Jovan. Again, as I'm improving in terms of editing over the years, I do believe some situation requires some better treatment potentially if there is none. So why not?
I mean, so we literally have a gunfight going on in the street here. I guess to be fair, the Black Baron can't do crap about
it's the police doing their job, I guess. Oh no!
I'm sorry. I didn't.
Oh
no! Bentley was actually right. That's the fan said things. Joe for the adult. You know what the pun in all of this is?
It was true.
Not just that. Muggshot's mother was literally a bitch. That's kind of sad.
What have we done? Oh yeah, we're about to incite a giant wolf massacre now.
Also, the health bar icon for Bentley looks like it looks like a side shot of Optimus Prime's head.
Also, don't worry, Joe, but the wolf just teleported.
What now? Cornell!
Because the mission started. Basically, what the Night Team wants is to tame the wolf and have the guru actually, jump on it, so they will be able to take out most of the Baron's teams.
Cornell, I know that you learned teleportation, but isn't this a bit early to do it?
At least there's some variety to it. It's not like Dracula that does the standard teleport, disappear, appear, fireball, different fireball death.
What's to be scared about it, Sly?
Yeah, the gist about it is that you need to use the sleep darts of Bentley onto the wolf, but the thing is that, being a big creature and all, you need to pump it into the poor thing.
Oh, yes.
And the problem is that you need to be closer.
Well, given the weight of the darts, I'll need to sneak up behind him.
Yeah, this is not, it's another, but it's not an easy one. Yeah.
Have fun with that.
Quit trying to freak me out and put the guru on the monocucom. After I put the wolf to sleep, it'll be up to you. Thanks, Guru. You always know.
Would be nice if we knew that. Whatever. Anyway, there we go. The gist of it is that, again, the Bentley modified his tranquilizer to be calibrated towards the wolf. The problem is that since they actually are smelly, the wolf can potentially detect it, so you need to be extra careful in being at a decent distance. And after you actually shot him, you actually need to, avoid, being chased down, so you can be able to shoot him again afterward. It is not helped by the fact that the guards also roam around the place. Thankfully, the wolf AI is programmed to actually target first the guards instead of you, so it can actually be helpful on this front. Also, despite the smell, the wolf has a bit of a tunnel vision going on, so it doesn't necessarily see you if you fly above it, like I just did. There you go. If you get back on the hill, you essentially cheese your strategy through. Boop. Ow. There we go.
Big game hunter. The skunk bomb is kicking in. He's almost asleep. Guru, you're up. You should be able to possess the giant wolf now that he's out.
There we go. And now you have to take out like 15 guards in total. The wolf actually has an health bar, and it gets a bit decreased. It gets decreased a bit after you actually, impact on something. But the enemies cannot really hurt you; they just run away in panic anyway. So again, it's only a matter of controlling, especially because the wolf doesn't really have a stop button unless it impacts on things or kills a guard. So you need to steer it manually, and try to avoid obstacles or falling into the water, for example. and if you actually get thrown off, it's basically it counts as the mission being over. Ah, shit. There we go.
Don't worry, that'll take care of it. He'll just wake up in the hospital.
With it's kind of like with Batman. It's just like, you know, a lot of fractured bones.
Yes.
Also
Just
rubber
walk it
bullets,
off.
or also some rubber bullets or something.
Oh, that's Arkham Knight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, Joe, a couple of years before that, one console generation before, Yakuza 4 also pulled that. So that's kind of the one thing that the fan base actually, you know, thinks is the lowest point of the storytelling. The fact that in order to have your protagonist to be likable in form of Kiryu, he has an oath similar to Batman of not killing, and this gets a bit in conflict with what the gameplay does, because the gameplay is all about smashing things into people in ways that, yes, it should definitely kill them.
Kiryu's just that awesome that he can do everything and be literally one of the Yakuza's top men without killing a single person.
Again, it's the part of the charm, I guess, with how over the top it is. It also gets, you know, kind of lampshaded in Yakuza 0, where Kuze becomes essentially a regular boss, despite having pretty much all of his bones broken.
Yes, I'm sure that will even the odds there. You can't have odds if the odds are dead.
That's one way to put it. Alright, time for some hacking instead.
How do you plan to hack into the aircraft control tower?
The same way he's hacked everything else.
Pretty much. Slight Thieves in Time actually will introduce different types of hacking, so I guess on that front we have improved on that.
Yeah, might as well give that game a credit for that.
Well, I already told you, Jova, I think the gameplay is really the department that, you know, had the least problems. Okay, also the soundtrack, technically.
Well, it's like I said, I do still feel like this game handled the gameplay of the multiple playable characters the best overall. That's not to say that 4's awful gameplay was, but it does have a few things that I feel bring it a bit down from 3 still.
There we go.
I felt that the double jump in 4 was not as good, personally.
Yeah, that's for starters. I feel like Sanzuru had a lot of good ideas here, but not all of them panned out well in the gameplay here.
Also, there
and
you go. Sorry.
I do feel like some of the gimmicks got a little too gimmicky in 4. Like, okay, it sort of fell a bit into a similar issue like with Crash Bandicoot: The Wrath of Cortex here. It sort of gets to a point where it feels like there wasn't as much focus as it could have been.
Let's just, to not spoil the Dwebs and Shiroi, let's just say there's a certain mini game in 4 that involves, you know, shaking something that I'm not a fan of. Because it's just...
Oh, well, the fourth game uses a lot the 6-axis too. But don't worry.
Not even just that too. But go ahead,
I get what you mean, but don't worry, I got that covered, don't worry. No, honestly, the worst part of the gameplay to me is that... they just say one of the things that you do near the end is something that should not be done the way the game does. It's a bit vague, I know the way I'm describing it, but if I do, I kind of spoil the surprise, so just keep that in mind for the time being.
Yeah. And don't worry, folks, the Sly Super 4 playthrough will be coming.
Well, yeah, I recorded all these games in, well, I could say quick succession, but it would be kind of a lie. I had an easier time doing the trilogy than the 4th game. Not so much for, you know, enjoyment of the games or not, simply for, you know, time constraints. But that's literally the only problem I have with the gameplay of the 4th game. For everything else, I was mildly okay with it. The only thing I could say, I guess, is that some of the power-ups that you buy from Thief.net do not feel as necessary as the things that you get here, but that's more nitpicky and probably something like getting chucked out to personal taste. I don't know. Also, yeah, they had a different type of hacking music for this. I prefer the one of the second game, but this one is fine too. Next. Also, who has AI controlling windmills?
Well, it's to make it a place nobody would think to look.
No, but I mean, the entire point of windmills is to catch the wind energy and convert it into electricity, at least for modern days.
Well, there are some more modern windmills here and there that sometimes they put backup electrical power in case, it's not a windy enough day. Because, if that's where the city's getting its power from, you do want them constantly going.
There we go. Also, yeah, like Bentley mentioned, do not get sucked into that hole because, if I recall correctly, I didn't even actually manage to fall in, but it's basically kind of an insta kill if you do.
I'm just gonna say right now, these security measures are faulty from the get-go here. You know what you should do? Make a wall there so nobody can get through. Boom. But
Jova, we need to provide the cyberspace a type of challenge, don't you know? Remember, we're still operating on 80s/90s logic, where cyberspace is this entire different dimension where data is actually constructed into matter.
Do you know how many antivirus companies would get flack for making essentially their systems video games that hackers could get through?
Honestly, I would love a movie that kind of being very self-aware on that front, like say an entire movie that's a throwback to stuff like Hackers, or Tron, that has this kind of concept of cyberspace, but absolutely runs with it and is self-aware towards it. I don't know. I think there is potential, especially considering nowadays there's a lot of nostalgia milking. We might as well try to go through that route. I mean, I guess in a way similar to what Ready Player One was doing, but instead of themed after a video game that has reference, I know what that is, having instead tied similar bit to Tron about programs, viruses and antiviruses.
That could work.
Also, yeah, this game actually introduces a couple of mini boss types, enemies for the hacking section, which is pretty neat. Again, I like the shooting sections. And honestly, I wouldn't mind, if a company like Sucker Punch or Sanzo actually did, well, not these days Sanzo, because I know I didn't mention in one of the previous parts, but would be neat if they actually made a small budgeted, game that's essentially a shooter similar to, say, stuff like Radius, especially because these days we're not getting that much aside from re-releases. Also, yeah, this is important for later. Apparently, the hacking caused one of the blades of a windmill to act like a giant shuriken? What? Damn new kinetic energy.
Apparently.
Windmill throwing stars, eh? This little system bug might come in handy.
Matthew, I don't like the way you say that.
So, Tio,
yes,
Sony's still on the rights to Sly, right?
Yes, it's a Sony IP.
It's one of the IP, as NPs.
I wondered, do you think that they might eventually get Sucker Punch back to make Sly Cooper 5?
That I think it's entirely dependent on them. It's similar to how other studios had decided to retire from their previous. Anyway, Operation Turbo Dominant Eagle. That actually is a better name. That is improving.
As far as I get the feeling, Joe, that for Nate Fox, Sly Free, and you can see for a lot of that in time machine weirdness aside, you can tell Nate Fox intended this to be the end of a trilogy, and that's it. And after that, he moved on to Infamous, and now and now they're working on Ghost of Tsushima too. So I don't think so.
I get the idea of want more intervenes. To be fair, Jova, they did mention in interviews or anything, but they actually did give her blessing to Sansaru to. For slight teasing time, not just doing development but after the game was finished. So by all intents and purposes, they kind of at least approved whatever happened, with that a sort of word of God bit. But I'm honestly just fine if any studio gets picked up for the job.
Pretty much. Like, again, I'll just say this: Sly is one of those cases where there needs to be a sequel because of how fourth game ended. I'm not going to spoil, but it's kind of in line with Legends 2.
That being said,
go on, Pedro. Go on.
That being said, I do agree. I don't agree with the any studio part. If you're gonna get a studio, don't get just any studio. Get an actual talented studio that actually, has the pedigree that will at the very least give you a high probability of a great game. Because the last time we just went with the any studio approach, we got 4. And don't get me wrong, like you said, 4 is still a good game, but that writing really caused a lot of fans to hate the game, just on principle.
I don't even know if the writer instead was tied to Sanzaru or was someone else.
And like I said myself,
but
I still have issues with its gameplay as well. I mean, again, it's not outright terrible, but it is. It definitely feels like a step down.
But no,
it's mostly. Sorry.
There's also the thing that I honestly don't know how many studios that are not tied to someone else might be available for the job. It's one thing to stuff like say. Just tied to a pre-existing property and remaking stuff, like say Other Ocean did with the first Medieval, which I still believe they actually did a good job. But it's another actually, get someone to do one from the ground up. I don't know.
Yeah, it's more so. That's the thing. It's mostly because Sanzaru Games, as a developer, they just don't have the. Slide 4 is their best game. Probably, and that's kind of sad.
And that says a lot.
Like you said, the Norse mythology themed VR game they did apparently is pretty good, but I haven't tried it myself.
Okay, I'm checking here. They did a PS2 port for Secret Agent Clank, which the PS2 version was not. Let's just say, from what I've heard, I only played the PSP version. But from what I've heard, the PS2 version was kind of a rush job port. From what I've heard. Although to be fair, that's more so a problem with constraints, I guess, time constraints, I guess, than anything.
Possibly, yeah. Like if there's one thing Sony did not always handle the best, it was their ports around that time.
Mystery Case Files, the Malgrave Incident. I don't know what this is.
I think that's a point and click.
Then they did the Slack Collection. Then they did Slide 4. Then they did Dark Manor for the iOS. I don't know what that is. Oh yeah, they made Bentley's Hack Pack. Yeah. I never played Bentley's Hack Pack. Did you two?
It's essentially a compilation.
They did the PS Vita version of the God of War collection and the Sly ones.
They did the PS Vita ports of the God of War collections, and they made the 3DS Sonic Boom duology, like I said, and they made the.
Remember, they told me they also helped for the Spyro 3 sections of the Reignited trilogy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right here, PC and Switch for Spyro Ignited. Yeah, right here. They did Marvel Powers United for VR for Oculus Rift.
And also Asgard's Wrath, which is the game that I mentioned.
In 2019, they also made Asgard's Wrath.
Yeah, the one I just mentioned.
Okay,
and then they got bought by Facebook.
Like I said too, but just based on this resume
now.
VR games for the Oculus Studios.
Most likely, yeah. Honestly, this is actually one of those cases where I'm not exactly going to lose sleep over for losing this, because this studio hasn't exactly been, the greatest in terms of.
When it comes to Sanzaru, I do get the feeling like, they're definitely a developer who meant well, and they did have talent here. I feel like, though, more often than not, they just got put on projects that weren't to their strongest suits.
That begs the question, though.
Their call.
That begs the question, though, Jova. What exactly is their? That's just the thing. Like, I don't think they've ever found an identity of their own as a studio. Like,
they seem to be these days with VR stuff. There's the stuff that they've been doing recently, and there's the stuff they've been hired for by Facebook.
It's like
that said, though, is their VR stuff any good? Because outside of PlayStation VR, which did manage to be a success,
like I said, from what I've seen and I've been told about Asgard's Wrath, is actually fairly competent.
Oh, true. Okay, my point is PSVR seems to be the only case of VR being a runaway success, and even with PSVR, that took quite a bit of time before it got comfortably into the position of named success.
It's similar to the PS Vita job. It was just the outrageous cost of the actual quality of the game. There seems to be, games that actually seem to be solid enough. It's not everything like, say, Batman Arkham VR, but it's a glorified 15-minute cutscene, essentially.
But here's the difference, Tio. Unlike the Vita, Sony just didn't leave that to die in the West.
Oh, I was talking in general, not just VR. Anyway,
second... I'm thinking of getting a PSVR at some point.
Second, and, last for this episode, section on the plane, where you had to take down the Baron, while Dimitri gives some flavor commentary in the background. You will recognize the Baron's plane pretty much instantly because it has actually defining features, but you're free to take out any other plane that you want. You don't really have to though, because it's not like a score that you need to meet. Otherwise, the Baron's plane, is still tough, and you're still applying the same rules from previous time. Limited ammo, and you can't replenish your health, so still be very on your guard. Anyway,
it's okay, though. By running into the wreckage of the plane, you can help your healing. Go on.
It's a thing. Okay, even if their VR games are competent, that's fine. I can believe that. It's like this thing, Joba. You said things that cater to their strengths, but that's the problem, Joba. What are their strengths? And do they even have them? Because we don't know. Because they've never really made a game that really shows what they're capable of, really.
True. And if it's something on VR, well, I'm sorry, but Oculus is not as much a success as PSVR for reasons. Because, well, yeah, I mean, okay, when it comes to VR of the other companies, for some reason, those have not been as much a success as PSVR.
Yeah, from what I've heard.
Maybe about the cost of the actual piece of hardware, because, again, Half-Life Alyx is a technical marvel for the VR genre, but the problem is that the Oculus Rift still costs such a lot that, not as many people as they should have actually enjoyed it.
I really do feel like Half-Life Alyx should have been something that was both available on VR and PC. Like, come on. Half-Life fans have been waiting for something Half-Life, and after, Hunt Down the Freeman, they were owed.
I really wonder if Valve decided to develop Half-Life Alyx specifically to detach themselves from Hunt Down the Freeman, because the entire point of Alyx is to shatter the timeline and reboot it from a certain point that completely cancels out Hunt Down the Freeman, basically.
Good on them for it, but like, seriously though, at this point, Valve, just license out Half-Life so that somebody can make Half-Life free.
Yeah, that's like, I mean, even Konami just already said that they're gonna license out all their crap since they can't be bothered to make it themselves.
I mean, if those words about like that,
But see, remember what we said, the Baron wanted to cheat, but Bentley, using his incredible technique of meal shuriken, we should be able to actually take out those.
Well, that's exactly the thing.
Oh
Sorry.
My God, the humanity! The absolute humanity!
It's okay, they're fine.
Totally.
It's okay, guys. I can see their parachutes. They're okay.
Yeah, exactly. Alright, so now it's time instead for a more conventional boss fight on a fucking... What the fuck is this Indiana Jones set piece? What is this?
And with it, Sly changed back into his regular outfit.
Oh god, Paige, that reminds me of the bit you just said just then. Yeah, oh, don't worry, you'll just come back to life.
No. It's like that clip that I sent you, Dwebs. Like the Tien loses an arm. You just wait till it grows back. Yes, because arms grow back, don't they?
Yeah, Four Kids One Piece did something like that, where a character got shot in the head, and then the guy's like, when he wakes up, tell him this and that.
Quick, beat him with your cane!
Yeah, it's okay. The only challenging bit about this fight is the limited area you're fighting in, but otherwise the Baron has pretty much good telegraphed moves, and that were very easy to avoid. So again, the only way you're gonna hurt is to be essentially just button mashing. Also, yes, he cannot be actually thrown off the plane, but he can actually send out goons instead in the meantime, which is a good chance for you to gain some health potentially. Some of them drop it. Like this. Otherwise, the fight is relatively fine. In general, the bosses of this game are okay, not too easy, but not too difficult overall. It's not like the second game where there was a bit of a gap.
Yeah, watch out for when he does that ground pound on the wing there.
You just need to jump, basically. Again, it's still relatively well telegraphed, so it's okay. How much of a beat? Ah, shit! How much of a beating do you need? Yeah. Also, these particular moments is where your triangle and square moves come in handy for crowd control, because one of these is essentially like doing the spin move from second game, only that it doesn't insta-kill anymore, which is a bit of a shame. Ow. Also, yeah, for some reason the pig enemies actually love to spray gasoline and then set it on fire. Like, that's kind of a waste.
Well, Tio, it gets rid of certain materials.
Like bacon? I don't know.
Yes.
There we go. Oh?
Wait a minute.
The barrel was Penelope the whole time!
Dun dun dun.
So we had a voice modulator.
No, you are the Black Baron.
Guys, you want to discuss this more, you know, in a more safe place?
But why?
Look, let's talk on the ground for a
Yeah, exactly. So, yay, mission accomplished, I guess, even though it took a weird turn at the end.
Let's have a discussion.
It was quite a revelation. Penelope and the Black Baron were one and the same.
Did I do that? What the fuck is that pose?
Rushed to the winner's circle.
But yeah, she's still a good sport and recognizes the Cooper gang as the winners.
There was a bit of an
Yeah, that's not the avatar that you two used. And this is why you don't lie on chat on the internet. This guy got that cover in the mid-2000s. Oh. I think someone has the hots for someone else.
That night, Penelope explained that the disguise was invented to get her past the Dogfighting League's strict age requirements. However, after winning, the Baron became a celebrity, and she found herself putting on the costume more and more often. But now,
Nobody cared about me until I put on the mask.
Always starts with one little white lie.
Thankfully, she doesn't need any more because, well, the Cooper gang is a new team, but Bentley is not too amused. We'll get back on that later.
I guess, you know, so now her whole operation is just gone kaput now.
Pretty much, with most of the people dead, we just decimated the population of Holland. So,
or out of work. Dead or out of work.
Anyway, new member of the team, that's what it counts. Moving on. Tune in instead next time, where we travel back to, well, not a familiar place because it's another part of the country, but we go back to China. So, see you for that.
See ya.
See ya.